Hello, everybody. Good morning. All right. So let's start the show. So we are going into 3 myths stopping you from adding holistic services to your salon business. And what are the 3 things that typically hold you back, right? And so I'm going to do a quick share screen, and then we're going to do a little bit of some magic at the end, right? Because one of the biggest things that can help you is learning how to reprogram your mind, right? Because sometimes, or reprogram or change your energetic structures, right? Because a lot of us have tons of information. We have so much information accessible to us now more than ever. And yet we won't always do those things. And this is when being able to use some of these tools to help you do the business or the marketing or focus on the healing frameworks, whatever that is that's going to move the needle forward in your life and your business, makes such a big impact, right? So let me open up my share screen. Boom. Hold, please. All righty. Perfect. Okay. So number one. So this has been accumulated over time through my own experience and also through the experience of all the people that I've worked with. And I feel like sometimes it just comes down to getting started. And a lot of us can stay stuck in second gear. It's almost like we're getting ready to get ready, right? And one of the biggest things that I've suffered from, and I know that a lot of people who I talk to can get stuck in, is not having that perfect environment, thinking that my space has to look a certain way. Maybe it needs to have the right kind of music, or it needs to have the right vibe, or the right people in it, or the right location in it, or all of these things, right? When I started this journey 6 years ago, for example, I was in Washington, D.C. I had been in the industry over 11 years at that point, and I was working in a commission salon. And I had all of those roadblocks thinking, how can I ever introduce this? Because of course, nobody else in my salon at the time was introducing anything close to energy medicine, energy healing. Maybe there was a coworker who enjoyed crystals, and that was it. And I thought, I can't introduce this at all, or it's a busy salon and everybody else is on a different wavelength than I am, and therefore I can't get started. And I decided, and I realized that being ready for me really came down to a decision. Instead of delaying being ready, I could just decide to begin to introduce this in my existing busy salon environment, because I had been called to help my clients for a really long time, and I was already helping them, right? Like, you're already helping your clients. You're already holding space for them. You're already flowing so much energy to them just from having an intentional service with them. And so I decided that I wanted to begin offering energetic work to them, whether that was sometimes in my styling chair. If you work in a salon, for example, where you have a limited number of shampoo bowls and you don't want to clog up a bowl, for example, by doing this at the sink, you could also do it at your styling chair. I would play around with having earplugs. I would play around with having sound machines. Sometimes I play around with having masks over their eyes as a way for them to have a sensory deprivation moment. I will play around with having some sound healing as well. And then, so those were all the tools and tricks that I have learned over the years, depending on where I was working in, to use to help my clients still get the results. And the work is really powerful, because I know that I love to cite some success stories, because I don't really want it to just be based on my experience. I worked with somebody in Oregon, in the Washington area, and they work in a smaller, more intimate booth rental salon, and nobody else is using holistic medicine, but they were really called to it because, like me, they'd been in the industry for a long time and really wanted to help people. And they decided that they were going to introduce it, and they were wildly successful, just meaning that their clients were getting the results. I think a lot of it had to do with them overcoming their own imposter syndrome, or being the different one in the salon. I think that the way that our brain sometimes wants to work is our brain does want to keep us safe. And so it will do that by wanting us to conform, even though sometimes our soul is longing to be different, or our soul is longing to be itself. And yet our brain will want us to conform. And it can be a leap of faith to be the different one in the salon in this way. But once she decided that she could actually create a safe experience for herself and for her clients really got those benefits. I worked with another really cool woman who is in a commission salon in New York, and they do have a very conscious salon environment, meaning that the salon owner is not necessarily, it's not necessarily like this hierarchical structure where they're like, you have to do it exactly this way. Like it has more of fluidity where they are allowing the people who work there to embody aspects of themselves that they want to in their business. And as a result, Lacey was absolutely able to offer energy healing to her clients. Nobody else in the salon environment was offering it, but she just decided that she really wanted to offer it. And, you know, so she is, I see videos of her all the time, still really cool when she uploads them, of her facilitating energy work to her clients at the shampoo bowl, you know, in New York. And, you know, and then I got to work with a really great salon owner out in California named Shelby, and she is really fabulous. And when she decided to feel called to this work, because she's now a Reiki master, in the beginning when I first met her, she did have a Reiki background, but she wasn't necessarily bringing it to the salon. It was more for her own personal growth and development. And once she started to do this, she thought as a salon owner, well, oh my gosh, well, I'm a salon owner, I'm doing this. So does it mean that everybody has to do this now? And oh my gosh, like, you know, do I have to change like the entire culture? And I just invited, the invitation was more about, well, why don't you try this and feel how it feels for you and feel how the benefits are for your client before you start overhauling your entire salon. And that was really cool, because no matter where we're at in our career, sometimes we have that feeling sometimes of I'm locked into my identity or what I have to do, or I've been doing it this way, like how can I change? And there can be a little bit of shame and judgment along with it, but it was really cool to watch her growth over time. And now she has a private room in her salon for long-time healing services. But it really started because they just decided, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go out and do this around other people. I'm going to do this even if it's a busy salon. And once I go in and I actually do these healing frameworks and I get these results, I start to get that confidence, right? I start to realize, oh, there is something to this. And a lot of times my clients are less focused on outside noise or outside things that are going on. It usually has a lot to do with me and my perfectionism and wanting everything to be super duper 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 perfect. But the truth is my client just really wants to feel taken care of, and that's it. And if I'm able to do that, then I've done my job. So that dispels myth number one. Myth number two, I hear a lot, especially in the past year, because I got the privilege to work with different people all around North America, which was, you know, this can't work if I live in a really small town, or maybe I have a conservative clientele, or I live in the Bible Belt. And I remembered from my own story, I come from Washington, D.C., and now I'm in Texas, and there's a really big difference. But what they do have in common is that I have people who are not necessarily quote unquote down with the woo in either of those areas, which just meant that I needed to come at it from a way to meet them where they're at, right? Because I do believe that, yes, I want to be my authentic self. And yes, I do want to, but I also really want to help people. And if people are not interested in what I have, that means that I haven't done a good job of offering it. So how can I offer it in a way that can make sense for them? Because I do think that that is the part of sales, right? Like part of sales really isn't like sales. It's about sharing and learning how to create the community that I really desire in my life. And so, okay, like how do I do that? Well, it comes down to my consultation, right? And some of that was less on going on this huge metaphysical rundown of what are chakras and what does energy work do and how do I even define it and blah, 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 and more about hey, like, this is the kind of experience I want to create, or, hey, I had a level of excitement, and say like, hey, like, I'm getting these trainings and I'm learning all of this. I would love for you to be a part of my beta testing period. I would love to see what benefits you get from this. Would you be willing to try it? I've loved helping people that I've worked with find their unique way of how they want to either talk about it on Instagram, market it on their website, or even talk about it throughout their consultations, because it does vary, right? And I wanted to say two women whose success stories were really fun to witness. One of them, Shelly, she is in Georgia. And, very conservative. If you kind of started to talk about chakras, they might give you some funny looks. And of course, you're going to get funny looks no matter what, right? Not everybody's for us, but for her, she's a very playful person who loves to do extension work and balayage. And she has a very like playful, fun personality. And for her, it was a lot about inviting them to have fun, like to have an experience. And it was less about like, giving them a whole rundown of science and theory on energetic work, right? And once they just had that invitation to enjoy and have fun, then they got the benefits. And then that's when she really started to see more people wanting what she had to offer, because she presented it in a way that felt really light and delightful to them. And there just wasn't like a big barrier, right? She was more like, I would just love to see like what you get from this. And that was it. And who is not going to deny an invitation to relax more if you present it as a way for you to relax more, right? Like, most people are going to welcome that with open arms. And so that was the way that Shelly started to experience that with our clients. Laura, on the other case, had a background as a Reiki practitioner before we started working together. And she had such a rich background in education, in her own experience, and like proof of concept of the work and confidence in the work, and yet still wasn't necessarily offering it to her clients, even though her business is actually attached to this really cool metaphysical store. And once we started to figure out, how she wanted to present it to her clients, she found it was just for her, it was so much about like heart-centered care. And she's just such a caring person who like really believes in your own like identity and like, shedding those layers. Like, she's on such a great personal development journey, and it's really fun. And she documents it on Instagram and in her Facebook group with her clients. And so she was really, I think her clients were really inspired by her process. And because they were basically watching her change before their eyes, like every time they would come in and see her, that almost gave them the safety or the trust to really go all in and let her, not only facilitate a little bit of energy work, like during their haircut or their hair color with her, but then they started to get those benefits and want 60-minute sessions with her. And that was really, really cool to watch. And it happened because she already had that background. It happened pretty fast for her. So that was really neat cool to watch. So that's myth number 2. And myth number 3, right? Like, myth number 3 is really big. And I think that it's something that we don't necessarily articulate, but it's something that we'll feel, which is this can't work if you haven't healed yourself yet. And I think it's because of that vibration of the word healer. It's, like, I'm a healer, so I need to have everything figured out, or I need to be at a level of healedness. That's not even a word, but I have to be at a level of healedness or healed in order to facilitate this work. And, the truth is, yes, it is a lifestyle. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like, when you step into this realm, like, it is a lifestyle, but it's always going to be a lifestyle of progress, not perfection. And so it becomes this gentle tuning of the dial, almost like you're turning the volume just gently a little bit more, like 1% each day. And then you have different and fun new levels of changing or growing, rather. And so I get to watch that in every single person I get to work with. But I think that imposter syndrome is a really big deal, especially for people who don't have a background in any energetic healing work. And then they step into this container, right? They're like, well, I don't know. I'm excited about some of this stuff, or I've maybe had some experience in some of the, maybe I booked, I don't know, tarot card readings, or maybe I've seen psychics, or maybe I've had Reiki, but I haven't ever really learned any of it. And so there's a big imposter moment and syndrome moment that can come up. The cool part is that I think that with the right guide, it can be really palatable for you and just show you like what's possible. Because the truth is, the umbrella that all healing work has in common is that a lot of it is up to the client's ability to receive, right? And number one, it's also up to a certain simple guidelines, right? Because we aren't actually healing our clients, right? We are conduits for the universal life force to flow through us. And so I've gotten to watch that, particularly with people who don't have a background in energy work. And then, they go through the process and then they get to experience the transformation. Like one of them that I wanted to talk about, she's a salon owner out in Kansas, and so cool, and has had such a long journey of personal development, and had zero background in energetic work, but was on the precipice of opening up her own conscious, eco-conscious salon collective. And so she really wanted to have this work for herself, as well as for the clients that she still retained, because salon owner, she's going to be focusing more on the lives and the businesses of her staff and taking less clients herself. And that was really fun to watch. It was fun to watch her have those aha moments. And once she decided to step into it and follow the steps, and this is where systems and frameworks are really helpful in knowing like the hows and whys, like you would use something, because that does create safety for you, which then of course creates confidence for you. And so she was able to follow these steps and some of the systems that I have and get those results for the clients and feel really good and empowered. And now she's sharing those tools with her staff, which is really cool to watch her flow that light down. But she started with herself, right? And then another person, Siobhan, whose case study I'm going to do today, which is really exciting. So she didn't have a background in energetic work either, but had been in the industry for a really long time, is her own business owner as well, incredibly talented, and wanted to honestly work on her own energetic boundaries and some of that burnout that can happen, right? Like a lot of us feel called to this work because we want to take it deeper. We want to serve our clients at a deeper level, but I think it started with herself first. And so she started to use the tools on herself, help with her own burnout. And then it was really fun to watch her kind of tiptoe a little bit around offering it to clients, because that imposter syndrome, whether or not we're conscious of it, can be at the underbelly. It's like, well, who am I to offer this work? Or like, I don't know enough. Like, how can I get started? And one of the things I remember telling people is, hairdressers are such gifted energy DJs, as I like to joke, because you guys have what the author Malcolm Gladwell calls like the 10,000 hour rule, right? And so they say 10,000 hours is usually a decent metric for you to really know a thing or two about a thing or two, right? And so you guys have that 10,000 hours under your belt at the 3 to 5 year mark of doing hair. And so similarly, when you are working with clients for that long, you've already honed your gift of empathy and intuition through that time and experience behind the chair. So it's actually a lot easier to step into this realm than you think. At least it's easier for you compared to somebody who has zero work with the crown chakra, but you've had thousands upon thousands of hours clocked working with energy and working with the crown chakra just through your time and experience. So I like to remind people of that when that super gross, sneaky imposter syndrome starts to creep up on you. Cool. So hopefully that served you, gave you a little bit of an energy bump. And then before we dip out for the day, I want to offer you more magic, right? Because what I know to be true is that you can have all the education in the world, right? But then you're still feel stuck and you still won't do the things, right? Like I really believe that becoming light, the beauty of it is that it can be simple, but it's not easy. And it's because we have to learn how to treat our brain as well as change our energetic structures in order to become willing to take the next step to get the transformation. So one of the things I wanted to share with you today is literally worth so much, right? Because if you actually use this technique over and over and over and over again, it's going to benefit you for years and years and years of your life. And some of you have heard of it. It's called emotional freedom technique and it's called tapping. And I'm going to run you through a really simple one because I don't always have time, right? Like the thing that I learned in the development of what I like to teach people is that it's really designed for hairdressers because we don't have like an hour for meditation. We don't have 3 hours for rituals. We don't even have, sometimes we just have a couple of minutes in between clients. So how can we actually help ourselves so that we can help other people? And so my invitation to you is right now, if you're watching this live or on the replay, I want you to think of maybe something that has an edge to it. Like think of something that has an edge. And if it's rated on the scale of 1 to 10, like 1 being the least and 10 being the most, I want you to bring up something that is at the 7 scale, 7 or more. I'm going to give you a moment to bring that to mind. Oh, you're welcome, Shauna. Sorry, me and the technology. Sometimes I don't always see the comments in real time. Okay, cool. So you have your thing, like maybe it's, let's see, like, what is it for me? Sometimes it's in the morning. I feel called to open up my Instagram and then I immediately am like consuming information. I feel a sense of overwhelm and I feel maybe, oh, like, what do I even want to post? Is this even good enough? I don't even know. Or maybe it's thinking about even offering your energetic work to your clients and you think, oh my gosh, like I'm really gonna fuck up this consultation. How am I going to do that? Or what if I don't get the words right? Or maybe it's, oh my God, I'm going to start the energetic work on my client at the shampoo bowl. Like what happens if it doesn't work? Like whatever it is, like, I just want you to think of something, make it at a 7. And now we're going to go through a real quick tapping procedure. And so you're going to start at the top of the head. You're going to do maybe like 3 fingers. And we're not going to be all therapy about it, but I want you to repeat out loud or to yourself, because, you might do this in the salon. So I want you to bring the thing and just gently tap the top of your head and say, I release and let this go. I release and let this go. Now, take your 3 fingers and tap in between the brows and at the 3rd eye, right? It's almost like a twofer. And you're going to say, I release and let this go. Now you're going to go to the side, right? It's like that little bone. And you're going to repeat, I release and let this go. And then you're going to go under the eye and you're going to say, I release and let this go. The last is going to be at the chest. So now I want you to go to your chest and it's almost like a thump, right? You're calling that thing that you want to work on that has an edge to it. And you say, I release and let this go. And some people find the side of the eye feels the most impactful. Some people find the top of the head feels the most impactful. Some people find that this chest thump feels the most impactful, right? Because a lot of us can hold that tension like in our chest. It's almost like we're holding our breath, right? And now I want you to grab your wrist and you're going to inhale and exhale twice as long. Inhale. Exhale twice as long. Do it one more time. Inhale. Exhale twice as long. And so say that your edge is at a 7, then you get to assess, okay, so if it's at a 7, then where is it at? Is it at a 5? Is it at a 6? Is it at a 2? And you want to assess it on a scale, because then you can cycle through that again, right? Like if there's something that brings you like an enormous amount of anxiety, like case in point, as most of you know who are in this group, I was in Georgia recently because my father was in the intensive care unit. And so, I had to cycle through a couple of rounds of this. And I'm so glad that I have those tools. And that's why I love to share them with you guys, because they are infinitely helpful for the rest of your life. Especially if like you just don't have any time to go through the whole tapping, then even grabbing your wrist and breathing in and exhaling twice as long, that helps with the vagus nerve. So that immediately quiets the central nervous system. And then you get to rate it and you're like, oh, okay, actually it does feel diffused. And if any of you feel a sense of lightness in your head, does anybody feel a sense of lightness in your head after you did that? Because if you did, that's actually a reprogram. That's actually the energy leaving the body. And it's literally diffusing and forming new neural pathways. Fascinating, yes? Cool. So enjoy this. As always, if you guys are ready to book your empathic blueprint session, you should book it. It's so fun. We customize everything for you. We want to figure out what your business is like, how we can make it even better. And I'm going to pop that link below for you guys. And with that, have a beautiful Monday.